This is Conversations with a Citizen. I'm your host, Tia Carol Jones. I'm here today with Mariyana Spyropoulos, Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a daughter of immigrants who came over to Chicago for opportunity, like so many others. And so I grew up on the South Side. I grew up in Beverly. My dad started a small business, went to school on the South Side, Mother Macaulay, and went to college in D.C., but came back for law school at John Marshall. And then I ran for office for the Water Reclamation District. I was a commissioner there for 15 years. And then there was an opportunity to run for clerk because I had been an attorney for over 30 years at that point. We're trying to implement, some of the values that I grew up with, which are, accessibility, accountability, hard work. And I think we're making some great strides in the office.
Great. Yeah. So Amnesty Week will take place April 27th through May the 1st.
Yes.
Why is this something your office wanted to make available?
So it's something the office had done in the past. The previous administration chose not to do it, but it had been done in the past, and there was some success with it. So we thought, let's bring it back. So we did it for the first time last year. And what it provides is it's an opportunity for people to clear, if they have tickets. So just to be clear in terms of what tickets qualify and what don't, because it can be confusing. Red light tickets and parking tickets are City of Chicago. Okay. So that would not be us. Okay. But what would qualify are speeding, DUIs, maybe you got a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, anything like that, like a moving violation. We're not City of Chicago, we're all of Cook County, but those are the types of tickets. So let's say you get a ticket and you don't address it. After 90 days, it gets sent to a collection agency. A 30% fine gets attached to it. This amnesty takes away the 30%, allows you to take care of your ticket, take care of your business, so it doesn't go on your credit rating and affect any possibility of affecting your credit in the future. And especially if you have multiple tickets, this can make a huge dent. So taking away the 30% fine and fee on all of those, you have a chance to take care of it for this week, and that's why it's called Amnesty Week.
Okay. And then what should the people bring with them when they come?
Well, you're going to need to know, so, let's say it's been like a couple of years since you got this ticket, you can't really remember. You can call us. We have a call center at 312-603-5030. And call there, give your name, they'll look it up, they'll give you a citation number, and you can either do two things. You can come in person, so you can come to the Daily Center, to any of our counters and take care of it, or you can go to a courthouse in the suburbs, which would be Markham, Bridgeview, Maywood, Skokie, or Rolling Meadows. Or you can call the number and say you want to pay by phone, and they will walk you through that process.
And so how does Amnesty Week fit into the Office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court's mission to make the judicial system more efficient?
That's a great question. So when I approached this office, I thought, what can I do? Like, what is the purpose of this office, and how do you approach, what's your vision for government as an elected official? You want to see it somehow operate in a certain way. So I always thought having value pillars was a good thing. So I ran on these value pillars, and I've sort of used them to have programs that sort of support them. So accessibility, accountability, and transparency. Accessibility would be where Amnesty Week falls under. Giving people the opportunity to take care of these tickets so they don't have to have it be a burden. Oftentimes, the tickets affect maybe certain communities more than other communities. So this would be something, again, I said an opportunity before. I think this is an opportunity for people to take care of something where it has less of a burden on them than it would normally. So, this is something that's really important that we get that message out there, but it could also provide people an opportunity to see what else we're doing at the office. We're having expungement summits. We've created a data dashboard. If you were interested to see how many cases were initiated in a certain year, in a certain courthouse, in a certain area of law, you can find that on our website. We created the first one of that kind. So it's basic information, but it's raw information because we are just taking in cases and we put the data out there. We're not advocating for any kind of policy in terms of the cases. It's sort of look at it as a scientist. You gave me a paper, I recorded there was one paper, and that's it. That's what we're putting out there. So people can feel confident that, the information we're putting out there is accurate and correct.
What has been the response of the people who have been able to use Amnesty Week in the past?
We've had a good response. We've helped a few thousand people last year. It's up to us to get the message out there, so we try to do it in different avenues, whether it be media, thanks to Citizen for helping us get the message out there, and our social media. We're very active on that, trying to get that message. This is what we're doing now, so you can take advantage of that, as well as word of mouth. We have flyers that we leave at all of our counters so that if there's attorneys or other individuals that come in and want to get that information, it's been pretty effective. So we thought let's do it again and make sure that we can help some more people. Hopefully not the same people.
I want to switch gears and talk about the scam text messages. What do you want people to know about them, and what should they do if they receive one or several, like I have?
So yes, and we've all gotten them. I am not immune from that as well. So it's unfortunate and it's disappointing, but this is sort of the world that we're living in right now. And so what that requires us to do is awareness and what are the steps that we need to take to protect ourselves and our family. Right. We're all navigating our life on our phone, so that seems to be a very point of vulnerability in terms of, you go to websites, maybe you purchase things and you don't know where your information is then being shared, but we do the best we can. So in these kinds of incidences, the messages, the text messages that I have seen so far, because I work in the court system, I sort of know what to look for. Okay. So for example, one of them, the judge's name was the same as the clerk's name. Okay. And if it was from Cook County, I know that's not the right clerk because I'm the clerk. So, but for people who don't, know that, which, is many people, if you don't have to deal with the court system, you don't want to. Sometimes people they know like something doesn't seem right. Usually it's not right. If you have that feeling that something isn't right, but verify that. So you can always call our call center and say, well, I remember there was a time, well, maybe I had a ticket. I'm not sure. Is this right? Can you look up something for me? I forgot. Did I take care of it or not? Call us. 312-603-5030. I sound like I'm trying to sell something here, but it's a great resource to have for people to reach out. Another thing is that we would not be asking people to, it has a QR code on this text and it asks for personal information. We would not be sending that out. So just for people to be aware, just don't click on any links, don't scan QR codes, and don't, the clicking is sort of like opening the door to all of your information. So be very wary of that and always try to verify before you do anything.
Where can people go to find out more about Amnesty Week, the location of the payment centers, and any other information about the Clerk of the Circuit Court's office?
So we've got lots of resources. So to find more about Amnesty Week, you can go to our social media. You can go to, we're on all platforms, except I think Snapchat. I don't think we're on Snapchat, but we're on everything else. You can go there. We'll have more detailed information. We're rolling it out as we speak. You can go to our website, cookcountyclerkofcourt.org, and that will have detailed information. But like I said, if you want to pay and you're not sure, like maybe you have the information, that's great. You can come to the Daily Center, go to one of our counters, and you can take care of your tickets that way. If you're not sure, please call us, 312-603-5030, to verify which ticket you'd like to take care of. Just make sure that your tickets are the ones that qualify, because if it's a red light ticket or if it's a parking ticket, those are the municipalities take care of that. And what I mean by that is City of Chicago controls their ticketing for those two types of tickets. We are speeding, going through a red light. No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Red light tickets are City of Chicago. I don't want to give people the wrong information. But not wearing a seatbelt, DUI, driving without a driver's license. Those are the kind of moving violations. But you can always verify with us. We've got staff who are ready to help people.
Okay, great. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know?
We will be, we're doing a lot of professionalizing of the office, creating processes for example, an order of protection. How is that process handled at one courthouse versus another? Trying to make sure that's a standard approach to that. Because, over time, people, maybe in one area, maybe they adopted a different approach. So we want to standardize that so that a person who comes to different locations will have that same expectation and experience. We also want to provide training for our staff within the office. I see that as an investment in the people that work there. We have some people that have worked 30 years at this office and have dedicated a lot of their lives. So giving them that, maybe it's managerial training, maybe it's conflict resolution. We get customers that are a lot of times in an emotional state. You're coming to court, that means that there may be something that's being fought over or loss involved. Maybe you're losing custody, maybe you're getting evicted. So it can be, a very tense moment, and that means our staff is having to deal with people who are in an emotional state. So giving them the resources that they can do their job better and more effective, so they're not getting affected long term, but also they're able to help the people involved. So those are just some of the things we're doing. We're doing a lot of community outreach because we have great resources at the office, and we have relationships with people who have really useful information. What I mean by that is, like, we have done a mental health summit where we went out to the community. We did one at Markham Courthouse, one at Bridgeview Courthouse. We're trying to work our way throughout the county, and we bring people together to talk to people about, so for example, let's say you have a member of the family who maybe has some mental health issues and has access to a weapon. What can you do as a member of the family to protect what are the legal tools you can use? Is it guardianship? Are there other things that you can do? So we've done 2 of those. There's been a huge response, so it seems like there's a need and an interest. So we're going to try to duplicate that in other places. We have judges there, state's attorneys, sheriffs, all to provide what information you as a member of the community need to know. Second thing is women's empowerment. We've partnered with CPD as well as the FBI to try to get information out to communities as well. We've done that 2 times so far, and we want to try to duplicate that in other areas and throughout the county. We've done an expungement summit in Proviso where we helped over 1,000 people with expungement challenges. And so we're going to duplicate that in the Southland this year, and then we'll move it around somewhere else next year. So we want to try to create that accessibility. We are doing webinars. So we had a domestic violence webinar where we brought people that would be part of the process, like intake. What do you need to know? And then what's the next step? And what do you need to prove in court? So having those kind of, having that information out there where you could just, join us by Zoom and, I learned about what I need to do or what my friend or relative, needs to have to protect themselves. So just sort of constantly thinking about that. The Know Your Rights town halls, we've done one of those. We're going to do another one of those to get information to people in terms of our approach to that is not just like what do you need to know when you're dealing with ICE, is what do you need to know about custody of your children, or what are you going to do with your house if you have a house, or your other assets. So we'll have lawyers and nonprofit organizations that'll be online who can then say, okay, these are the things you need to think about. Have, you know, those documents ready if this kind of situation comes up. So, you know, any area, like if you or your listeners have something that they think would be useful, let us know, and we're open to developing that kind of, you know, partnership. It's always like working with other organizations, other electeds, other nonprofits to try to, you know, get that information out there. Isn't that, I think that's what government's supposed to do. We're supposed to provide service, and we have resources, we have great people who want to help, so let's do it together.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing that information.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen.